Of rain and downpours last through the night, and we have a flood watch for the night as well. The heavy rain threat across greater Cincinnati. We had those downpours off and on throughout today. I know I woke up to a pretty big downpour earlier this morning, and so far today we've picked up rainfall totals generally less than 1/4 of an inch for a lot of communities. So right now things are pretty quiet outside. We're in more of a break in between some downpours and heavy rainfall that I still expect to see as we head into the overnight tonight. You'll still run into some sprinkles out there. Over toward Forest Park, Finneytown, you've got some of that light rainfall that's moving through right now. Again, this break gonna last a little while longer, so we do have some hours that we're not talking about those heavy downpours, but as we head into this evening and overnight tonight, I do think we start to see more of this rain that's back out to our west, moving in our direction and even filling in a little bit. There's a potential for some rumbles of thunder, but overall our severe weather potential is looking pretty limited and low as we head into the overnight hours tonight. So that's some good news. However, we still have that flood watch that's in effect now until 11 o'clock tomorrow morning for pretty much all of greater Cincinnati, with the exception of our 2 communities in southeastern Indiana. So with that, we are still looking at that threat for heavy rain. I do still think those totals are going to be closer to 1 to 3 inches for some communities throughout tomorrow morning. Now for the rest of this evening, still a weather impact. I do think that rain chance is going to be off and on throughout this evening with the potential for some downpours, more likely closer to about 8 o'clock or later tonight. Temperatures in the meantime going to stay in the 70s, so that dreary weather not going anywhere. This also includes tomorrow morning. I do think tomorrow morning still is going to bring in a pretty good rain threat as well. It's coming up in a few minutes. I'll show you how Futurecast is looking as we head into the overnight tonight and tomorrow morning. Shree? All right. A few sprinkles around greater Cincinnati right now. That heavy rain threat still looking possible as we head into the overnight tonight. So coming up in a few minutes, I'm going to show you when we see our heaviest waves of rain moving into the area and what this is going to mean for that weekend forecast, for Pride, for fairs, festivals, all of that happening this weekend. And of course, that rain sticking around. I'll show you what it's looking like coming up. You're watching Cincinnati's WLWT News 5, and we'll be back.
Weather is not going to cooperate.
I know. So we are going to see the chance for scattered rain and thunderstorms throughout the weekend. So there's going to be that chance for rainfall. Does it rain specifically at the time that you are at your event? That still remains to be seen, because while there is going to be plenty of rain around this weekend, I also think we are going to see some dry time. So keep that in mind. But right now we've got some sprinkles all around town, especially into northern Kentucky, south of the 71-75 split. Some of that light rainfall, late rain along I-74 as well for areas around Versailles over toward Ripley County. Otherwise, the Cincinnati Metro at this point looking relatively dry. Zooming out, you can see we still have some more waves of rain that are going to be rolling through here. So a break for the next couple of hours. I do think between now and about 6 or 7 o'clock tonight, we are going to start to see more of a dry period. But with that in mind, sprinkles still a possibility. Once we get to about 8 or 9 o'clock, we start to see some additional waves of rain moving in. With that, some heavier pockets are possible. And I do think overnight tonight we see heavy rounds of rain moving into the greater Cincinnati area, even some rumbles of thunder. So that flood threat is still there for us tonight through tomorrow morning. In fact, it looks like the heaviest rain still has yet to move through. I think that's going to happen, as I mentioned, tonight through early hours for your Saturday. Here's that flood watch that's in effect until 11 o'clock in the morning. Our totals are going to be around 1 to 3 inches for many communities. This is tonight into tomorrow morning. So right now, some sprinkles, some dry pockets still going to happen for a few more hours, but tonight 8 or 9 o'clock and later, we start to see that heavy rain redeveloping. That's going to continue throughout the overnight period. Into tomorrow morning, it starts to wrap up a little bit closer to about 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning tomorrow, but I still think some communities are going to wake up to some downpours first thing in the morning. So keep this in mind if you are somebody who's on the committee for planning for these events, setting up, all those things. Morning downpours certainly a possibility. I can't rule out the chance for some rumbles of thunder, but as we head into the afternoon, we start to see it becoming a little bit more scattered throughout the afternoon and even into tomorrow evening. A thunder chance is there, but there are going to be some more dry pockets again developing tomorrow afternoon with that scattered rain threat still lingering. Then by Sunday, I do still think a few showers and thunderstorms will be a possibility, but at this point, Sunday looks to be one of the drier days for the entire weekend. So the next couple of hours around here, entirely possible that we have some communities that stay dry until about 9 o'clock tonight. At that point, though, we start to see our wave of rain moving in which case could be heavy at times. Totals will be around 1 to 3 inches by the time you wake up tomorrow morning, hence that flood watch. So we could be dealing with some localized issues with high water, could be a situation where you end up seeing some issues in your basement, things like that. Here's 7:30 in the morning tomorrow. Here's what I'm talking about with that potential for those scattered downpours. Again, not everybody sees it, but there's still going to be enough of a chance that tomorrow morning looks to be the soggiest part of the day. As we get into the afternoon, we start to see rain and thunderstorms redeveloping. Those are going to be scattered throughout the afternoon time frame. And then from there, Sunday still features that chance of some rain. Actually, Monday too is going to be the potential for some rainfall. We've got a weather impact day on Monday. Then we start to feel that summertime heat really settling in. So every day on the 7-day is an impact, but different reasons. Rainfall mostly Monday, Saturday, Sunday. Just developed tonight how heavy the rain is going to get and what that means for a packed weekend of plans coming. The potential for some rumbles of thunder. But at this point, severe weather, that potential is looking very limited. What I do think we end up seeing more so tonight is going to be pockets of heavy rain that develop somewhere essentially between I-70 and areas throughout northern Kentucky south of the 71-75 split. So we are looking at that flood threat as we head into the overnight time frame. In fact, there's a flood watch that's in effect for the overnight. It doesn't expire until 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. Across town right now, not too much going on. In fact, this is a little bit of a break in the heavy rainfall that we're expected to get later on tonight, but you still have some drizzle out there towards southeastern Indiana as well as parts of Kentucky south of the 71-75 split. Here's those waves of heavy rain. So we've got a little bit of a break between now and about 9 o'clock tonight. I do think 8 to 9 o'clock though, and later we start to see some redevelopment of that heavy rain that's going to be moving in from the west. So Futurecast kind of shows you that here. A few sprinkles will be possible this evening. Don't get me wrong. I don't think suddenly we're going to have a beautiful evening outside. But as we get to 9 o'clock or so, we start to see that heavy rain moving back in here. It's going to be arriving from the west and pushing east overnight tonight. Again, 1 to 3 inches of rain will be possible throughout greater Cincinnati. Localized higher totals, 3+ inches, still a possibility. So that is going to lead to that flood threat as we head into the overnight tonight. Tomorrow, still looking at scattered downpours. That will continue throughout the weekend. It's a busy weekend. We've got Pride, we've got the Hamilton County Fair, we've got Panjiri Fest, Hyde Park Blast. I mean, you name it. This feels like the weekend of events. And the rain's going to stick around. I'll show you what it's going to mean for any of those events you might be going to coming up. Sheree? Rain expected to arrive as we head into the overnight hours. Still looking at that flood potential overnight tonight as well. So how much rain do you wake up with tomorrow morning? And how long is it going to stick around into your Saturday coming up? You're watching Cincinnati's WLWT News 5, and we'll be right back. On the west side of town over toward I-74, so Ripley and Dearborn counties, the northern half, you are dealing with some rain. It's on the lighter side though, and also some rainfall throughout areas around Brookville and Brookville Lake. So if you know anybody who was trying to get out to the lake today for a lake day, not the best weather for it, and this entire weekend kind of looking like it's going to be one of those that it's just not going to be the best to be out on the lake all day long, because at some point Saturday and Sunday we are going to have more rain moving back into greater Cincinnati. Now, for tonight's picture, I do think we are in a little bit of a break from now until about 8 or 9 o'clock tonight. From there on, though, we'll start to see some waves of downpours moving in. Rumbles of thunder will be a possibility. At this point, our severe weather threat looking very limited for the rest of this evening. So not something that I'm overly concerned with, but that flood potential is still there because some of this rainfall that's yet to move in looks like it's going to be pretty heavy and pretty continuous once we get into the overnight time frame. So while we sleep, we do have this flood watch that's in effect until 11 o'clock tomorrow morning for everybody throughout greater Cincinnati, with the exception of Fayette and Union counties in southeastern Indiana. Beyond that, the upcoming weekend still going to feature rain chances Saturday, rain chances Sunday as well. So for tonight, the heaviest rain is going to be moving through for the whole weekend. That's what it looks like, at least. About 1 to 3 inches of rain, very much so look possible by the time you wake up tomorrow morning. I do still think there will be some scattered downpours around early tomorrow morning. Then as we get into the afternoon, we're still going to see some scattered rain throughout greater Cincinnati, possibly even a thunderstorm developing tomorrow afternoon too. But it is going to be a little bit more scattered. So not everybody sees a ton of rainfall here tomorrow afternoon or tomorrow evening, but there's still at least that potential. Sunday, another day, we'll still see some downpours occasionally, but I actually think Sunday at this point is looking to be one of the drier days for the weekend, but still it's an impact day because I still think there are going to be downpours around. Hot and humid, that's going to continue from Sunday well into next week. Still looking like we're in store for triple-digit heat indices next week, Tuesday, essentially through Friday. So it's going to be really hot here as well next week. So for the next couple of hours, this is kind of our dry window, even though we never totally dry out. Still going to see some sprinkles and some light rainfall here for the rest of this evening. But then tonight, here's how it's looking 9 o'clock and later. We'll still see some rain. Heavier downpours start to settle in here. This is when we pick up the majority of our rainfall totals, anywhere from 1 to 3 inches by the time you wake up tomorrow morning. This is overnight, 2:30 in the morning Saturday. Then this is about 7:30 in the morning. So I still expect to see at least some scattered to possibly even widespread rain around early tomorrow morning as that sun's coming up and we're kind of getting going for your Saturday. Then into the afternoon, more scattered downpours develop and will stick around kind of off and on throughout your Saturday afternoon and Saturday evening as well. In fact, there are some signs that some parts of northern Kentucky could see the majority of Saturday's rainfall once we get into the afternoon and evening time frame. Whether or not that plays out, we'll have to wait and see, but that is something that I've started to kind of pick up on some of our models here lately. So Sunday, still looking at temperatures reaching into the mid 80s and then 90s next week starting on Tuesday. Rain chances possible here Monday. Hot and humid. I mean, we're talking triple-digit heat indices Tuesday through Friday of next week, so it's going to be incredibly warm out there. Tomorrow, if you have plans to head out to the Hyde Park Blast in the morning, there is going to be that potential for some scattered rain around early on. Then Pride Parade stepping off at 11. Scattered rain and thunderstorms, still a possibility. And then for any of the festivals and fairs heading into southeastern Indiana now, not too long, and we'll be start to see it moving across the Ohio River. In fact, in the next 5 to 10 minutes, Boone County, you're going to start to see that rain creeping in. Areas along I-74 closer to Harrison, you're also going to start to see some rain moving in here fairly soon. It's a little bit heavier back out toward Versailles, Dillsboro, just north of Rising Sun. You've got some heavier rain as well. Outside of Lawrenceburg, closer to Aurora, some of that heavier rain is moving through. So again, this is going to keep pushing off to the east here for the next hour or so. So we are starting to see that rain filling in across greater Cincinnati. We were saying closer to about 9 o'clock or later before that heavy rain moves in, but I do think with this light to moderate rainfall rolling through here, at this point, plan on some rainfall off and on throughout the rest of your evening. And then overnight tonight, back out toward what's in western Kentucky, starts to work its way up the Ohio River, and we begin to see that heavy rain moving in. So that's going to be closer to, I would say, 11 o'clock or midnight that we start to see those heavier downpours moving through greater Cincinnati. Still looking like we pick up about 1 to 3 inches of rain overnight tonight. So we have that flood watch in effect because this could lead to some localized high water concerns for us here tonight, especially for any of those spots that get closer to that 3-inch or so marker for rainfall totals by tomorrow morning. This is going to last into the early morning hours of tomorrow, but then starts to take a little bit of a break closer to about 8 o'clock or so tomorrow morning. I don't think that means we're rain-free for the rest of Saturday. We are still going to see scattered rain, some thunderstorms possible Saturday afternoon and evening. So coming up in a few minutes, Chris, I'll show you what you can expect for the rest of the weekend and the impact days that follow coming up. Back in across greater Cincinnati, some more moderate pockets, but tonight I do still anticipate some heavy rain to roll through greater Cincinnati. That flood watch until 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. How much rain you can expect to wake up to and how the rest of the weekend is looking coming up. You're watching Cincinnati's WLWT News 5, and we'll be back. Fair, know anybody there? Rain's starting to move in here actually right now. So Boone County seeing some of that rain. It's a little bit more moderate there just to the west of Florence. You can see some heavier rain along I-74 as well. That's right around Sunman, areas of northern Ripley County. You're seeing some of that heavy rain. Meanwhile, sprinkles for the rest of the county, and then into Dearborn County. We have heavy rain over top of Lawrenceburg. That's going to keep making its way closer to the 275 loop. Back out to our west, you can actually see some strong severe storms rolling through western Kentucky just outside of Louisville. This is all kind of heading in our direction. I think the timing of all of this, we start to see some of our heavier rain tonight closer to 11 o'clock or midnight, based off of where it is right now and how quickly it's moving. Now, I'm not too overly concerned with the potential for severe weather here tonight. We've had so much rainfall around and cloud cover around for a lot of today that it's helped kind of work over our atmosphere. But as we head into the overnight, heavy rain is something that we are going to be watching very closely because we are picking up about 1 to 3 inches of rain today. That includes what fell earlier, but so far we've only seen about 1/4 of an inch. So the heaviest is yet to come. If you see closer to that 3-inch marker for our rainfall totals, you could end up with some flooding concerns overnight tonight, talking about the potential for some basements dealing with issues, the potential for some flash flooding. That's something that we'll be watching as we head into the overnight as well. This doesn't expire until 11 o'clock in the morning tomorrow. So tonight, after about, I would say closer to about 9-10 o'clock, we start to see those heavier downpours moving through. That's when the bulk of our 1 to 3 is going to fall, lasting into really early tomorrow morning. Closer to about 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning tomorrow, downpours begin to fade a little bit, but we are still going to see scattered rain, possibly even some thunderstorms tomorrow throughout the day. I think early on in the morning, 7 to 8 o'clock, earlier than that, is when the rain's going to be most prominent. From then on, it becomes more scattered, and at times in the afternoon could even be a little bit more stray, but there are signs toward tomorrow afternoon and evening, a little bit later on in the afternoon, that we start to see more scattered development, and then Sunday still bringing us the chance for rain and thunderstorms as well. So Futurecast going to walk us through here. So again, closer to about 11 o'clock tonight, we start to see that heavier rain moving in. Up until then, though, still going to see moderate showers off and on throughout the rest of this evening. Here's about 2:30 in the morning, just showing you still we're dealing with those heavier pockets. Rumbles of thunder, certainly a possibility overnight into tomorrow morning, and then tomorrow throughout the day. Here's that scattered activity that starts to go up. Futurecast really wants to paint that picture over top of northern Kentucky. While that's a possibility, I would say if you're north of the river, it's a good idea to still plan on seeing some rain at some point tomorrow afternoon and evening. So if you're heading out to any of the festivals this upcoming weekend, specifically tomorrow, we've got Hyde Park Blast, we've got Pride, of course, we have the Hamilton County Fair, the Greek Festival, everything like that happening. And there's going to be the chance of rain throughout, especially into early on in the morning, as well as the second